fines for anybody using any kind of weather-modifying equipment and not reporting its usage or the fact that they can. Why do you legislate to put Senate and House bills against that and they can't find out what's spraying you from the air? Be honest, unless you heard some of my lectures before about my tapes, how many even knew about the Senate and House bills 20 years ago that legislated against the use of weather modifying equipment? Tesla principles, coils. They have been making weather for so long now that they have a new statement again. By 2020, we will make the weather, and now we're modifying it. And they got it on the web page. Department of Navy has done research. Department of the Air Force has done research, and they got another one too. I got that somewhere. If you want, I'll dig up this new name they've got. I didn't even know such an organization existed. Oh, and by the way, and you know where the funds for many of these projects come from? The Department of Commerce. Only thing wrong with Ron Brown, he thought he was, nope, he thought he was, what? Commissioner of the Department of Commerce. He thought he was. That's the only mistake he made. My mayor's brother now heads that department. So you know what Chicago's in where I'm moving. I'm serious. I'm gonna probably get my come up Tuesday, I'm moving. Yeah. His brother is now the director of the Department of Commerce, where most of these black funds come from. Black funds. Don't get happy. Black project funds. Negative, evil things that they don't want you to know they're doing. Bad people's projects. They're funded through the Secretary of Commerce. With Richard Daley's brother's department. So everything, new thing now is coming to Chicago. If you can get some more money, they can test it on some more people. That's why we still have clean air filtration plants for our main thing for our cars. We got to still go through that. They have modified weather for so long. It used to be silver nitrate. Now they have gotten into particulation that they can spray on the clouds for cloud seedings. And through the HAARP program, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gilcona, Alaska, they now send out beams of energy into the ionosphere, bounce it off of orbiting satellites, penetrates into the ground, and also can cause cloud formation and what they call ionic stack principles. Simply broken down, it's just like this. They can put columns of non-moving air, and they can send enough high frequency ELF waves, microwaves, to separate the oxygen from those particles and leave static, stale air in a column. When the natural currents that have taken thousands of millions of years on this planet hit that, what they call the jet stream, they hit it and they bounce cylindrically, forming a circle off this column of non-moving ionized particulated air, electrified air, causing tremendous spin and beginning to form hurricanes. That's not only Oklahoma, that's Bangladesh, that's Sumatra, that's China, that's part of Africa, that's part of Europe, that's down in Brazil, that's up and down all of the coastal cities from North Carolina, South Carolina, Louisiana, Texas, Florida. That is everywhere, folks. They can form water, air. You now have the alphabet going through 2 times. Now they have to involve women. Women have never been like a hurricane. Some women have never been like a hurricane. Only guys go around in circles and do stupid things. But they ran out of men's names, so now they're telling the hurricanes you have to be called females now. Equal sexuals. Why? Because there are more hurricanes happening now than ever before in the history of this planet, written history that we now read. They're marching out of Africa. They're coming across the oceans. They're coming down into the bays, and they're going up and they're going around and they're happening. Oklahoma, they stated that there was a cell, a weather cell, 10 miles wide that produced a tornado 10 blocks wide that sat for 2.5 hours over a city in Oklahoma. Come on. First of all, hurricanes on this planet, to my little limited research, don't happen over land, they happen over water. And when they hit the coast, they begin to break up because the air there is different, the temperatures are different, the salt factor is different, and they move on. This daggone thing sit there and just sit there. And plus now they have hurricane patterns, where if it happens once, you might as well don't pay the mortgage for the next month. And if you're a renter, don't pay them nothing. Move. Because if they did it once now, they'll do it again. They say tornadoes are sporadic in their path. These things aren't sporadic. You can almost tell now. You know what's going to be happening now. This is August, this is starting just about with July, right after. Here we go again. And each year they get worse. Encapsulated, Nikola Tesla back in 1900 and in 1909 came up with the Tesla coil. Tesla coil stated that he could now take electrified magnetic energy in the ground, shoot it up to passing water-laden clouds, and pull from it energy. That there was no need to use turbines and water power and gas and oil to create energy, because the energy was free and all around our planet. All you had to do was stick something up, you could pull it down, you could put it on every house, every car, and energy is free. You just go through and use it. J.P. Morgan said, "Oh no, buddy, I will pay for your research, but you should not have told me about anything being free. We give free things to poor people and cheese. This is why we give away our cheese. We don't give away our energy. We give away to the poor people anything that's harmful for them, we don't want, and they'll take it. But free energy, that could be useful. Sorry, helpful." Gotta get some water, God. Good booze, man. That stuff turns me on. Like I said. Free energy, they didn't want. So Nikola Tesla, once he offered in 1918 to actually put a defense perimeter around the United States, that he had the capability of doing it, that nothing could go through that field or come out of that field unless he lowered it. It would take 4 coils, they call it Tesla coils, Tesla towers, and one in the middle where you would not tell, we put it inside of a mountain. And that way you had your perfect defense. Things came in when you lowered your field, things went out when you didn't. And they said, "What is this man talking about?" He set up a prototype. In the Colorado Springs, he lit up a city, a little town with 250,000 people. He said, "Turn off your generators and I will light your city." They left 2 generators on, both of them blew sky high. He had a little tower 50 miles away, and he ran the city for 1 day. After that, they said, "Either you come with us or you got to go." They're using his principles. He left the United States, went up to Montreal, Canada, and for 10 years until he died right after that, very mysterious circumstances, but his assistant, Arthur Matthews, was visited by Russian scientists for a long time. They took him back, they helped him with to rebuild the laboratory, and they were the first ones to start using what they call mitogenic ELF propagation. Simply means extra low frequency microwave emissions, and they found it because it was knocking out FM stations all over Canada. When they finally said, "Are you doing this, dear Russia?" And they said, "No, we don't do this." And then 2 weeks later it stopped after having gone on for 3 years. Came out of Riga in Siberia. United States technology and Russian technology began to battle back and forth, and no one let them know what was happening. So one was creating a drought and the other was creating a monsoon, and they finally said that we got to get together and discuss things unilaterally. You said, and you thought that the Russian army disbanded when the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic went out of existence? No, they just got stronger. Now they don't have to pay any taxes like you do. Now all their things are devoted to what they wanted to, and the United States gives them money because they wanted some of the Tesla principles that they refused to pay the man for when he offered it to them. Just like George Washington Carver. No difference. They're creating the weather, folks. They can cause droughts, they can cause floods, they can cause monsoons, they can cause hurricanes, and that is the most deadly weapon that already has happened in World War III, which started back in 1959 and is growing. When they discovered weather modification. I love the word they use, modification. That's why you're paying so much for crops. That's why you can't even get McIntosh apples now. That's why they're genetically mutating, because all of the things, even the bees, which were supposed to cross-pollinate, they messed them up. I want to warn you too, by the way, you know they got those bees that were coming here, they're in Texas now. They've already attacked 13 people. That's an unlucky number. Those killer bees from Africa. You know those crazed Africans, you know, you know about them, those crazed Africans, right? Crazed African bees. Hong Kong flu, African flu, porky flu. You're supposed to laugh at that. You're not with me this day. See that? You're not laughing. If you don't laugh, you know what you have to do. You're gonna cry. You better laugh. Anthrax, AIDS, and hepatitis. Have you got your shots recently? You can't go to school, you can't go to work, you can't get insurance, people are going to hate you, they don't like you, you're going to go home and pick your teeth and cry if you don't get those shots. Free shots. Now we got drive-by shootings in Chicago, you don't have that in Detroit, I know that. And you definitely don't have the kind we have. You can roll down your window, put out your arm, go up to a neighborhood Walgreens or Osco, stick it out and you get your shots. Drive-by shooting. You know they got it from the gangs. You know that's where they got it from. Drive-by shootings. I'm serious as a heart attack, folks. You can go to a movie store show. You can give blood. You can get shots. You go to a restaurant. You can get blood. You can get shots. You go to any auditorium. You can get blood and get shots. You go to school. You can get blood and get shots. The government loves you. They don't want their citizens without their shots. Now, what you have to really worry about, though, are these little 2 and 3-year-olds. I mean, these hip 3-year-olds. Hey, baby, I want some. Oh, honey, I might give you some. 2.5, 3-year-olds. They're sexual maniacs. You're looking at me like that, folks. You're looking at me, I can tell. I told you I was neurotic. Why you questioned me?
I don't.
But did you question the government by asking why you give hepatitis B and C shots to 2.5-year-olds?
Yes.
Sexually promiscuous 2.5-year-olds. Get it on, baby. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why they give it to them, isn't it? That's what hepatitis B and C is for. Right? And 2.5-year-olds and they said pre-kindergarten. You tell me what age that is. Help me, I'm done. Help the blind, folks. Otherwise, why would you insist that 2.5 and 3-year-old kids get hepatitis B and C shots? Explain to me, I don't understand. Help me. I don't want to be neurotic. Help me. And you're taking them there to get them. Help you? I mean, no, help us. Hepatitis B, anthrax. The last time I heard lying, cheating, scandalous, Louis Pasteur brought that mess about. When I was teaching history, I tried to get the kids, don't like Einstein, hate Louis Pasteur, and despise Edison. And then I went on to tell them why, how they lied and cheat and everything else. Scoundrels. But they didn't listen, they still honor him. But Louis Pasteur, with the great anthrax epidemic, 1890 and so over in Europe, got rid of anthrax, which is hoof and mouth disease, cow disease. They went with cattle and livestock. He got rid of it by killing off all the daggone livestock over in Europe. 90% of the livestock was gone. That's why you got Jersey cows and all over there and all this. They had to send them in for the United States, back over there. That's where he got rid of it. But he told you that it was through what they call pasteurization, and it came up with what? Inoculations and vaccinations. And people have been sick ever since. And you're going to get sick as long as you take them. Got a whole thing on that. AIDS, what it is, what it isn't, and AIDS, the update. And I'll tell you the truth about what they're doing in these laboratories. Let me just tell you one before we move away from this one. Even if your favorite doctor who's been in your family and you love the most and wears a great white token is a very ingenious person, he does not manufacture the pharmaceuticals that he's used. He is not licensed to do so. They come from laboratories, Eli Lilly, Squibb, and on down the line. They come from industrial pharmaceutical complexes, politically controlled. And when that vat of serum comes in and they attach it to the syringe, he doesn't know, she doesn't know any more what's in it than you do. And in fact, they're not supposed to biologically contaminate it. They're supposed to put it in a certain temperature device and use it only when the client demands. You know what they found in some of them? Can you guess what they found in some of them? Helixes. Helixes with chromosomes embedded on them on chips that they shoot into the body. Biologically manufactured, altered helixes embedded on microchips that are in not the daggone syringe, but in the vial that they attach the syringe on, and they shoot it into your body. And nobody knows what these chips are saying. You know, chips talk. They talk in computers, and they'll talk in you. They might even talk for you. Hear what I just said? I'll repeat that again, because I know you're not hearing me tonight. They may even talk for you. Helix, that is what your chromosomes are embedded on in your gene pool. In each cell, in each little gene, your DNA and RNA, ribonucleic acid, dinucleic acid, all these things are embedded on these little coils, little coil things. And on each spacing there are chromosomes. Chromosomes, you heard about Y chromosome, X chromosome, male, female. They tell you your characteristics, what you're supposed to do, what you look like, and they control your cell growth. They control your organs and the hormones that they secrete. They can do anything. And if lodged in specific areas, they can even think for you, because they cut off your ability to use logical, rational thinking, or they amplify paranoia or anything they want to do. When you start doing that, you can control populations. Why in the world do you really think they're anxious to give you all these shots? Now, come on. Let's get down to, if you're a nut, a fool, or neurotic like me, when has the government ever given you anything free that you didn't pay for? Shall I repeat that again? When has the government ever given you anything free that you did not pay for? Whether you pay for it now or whether you pay for it later, you will pay. White man speak with sport tone. Truer words were never spoken. So I can run this one off. I can go there a long way. I really want to go further with this. We'll go down. Congressional attacks on the presidency. I'm going to run through that so fast it's going to make your head swim. A big ploy. First they had to have O.J. Then they had to have Clinton. Every 2 years they got to bring you something so you don't watch what's really happening and you watch the big soap.
That's right.
They've got you so conditioned to soap. And by the way, I understand more men, according to their polls, it must be white men, watch soaps than women. That amazed me too. There were fights that broke out and people are in court because of what happened in their family. Oh, not their immediate family, their TV family. They fell out about who didn't do it to who, when they should have done it, and how they looked. Come on, get a life. No, get two lives. A fight in a black family about what happened on a wonderful soap opera? Come on. You must have taken those shots. Whether you go back and get the martinis and the booze and the straight gin, no. Yeah, I'm neurotic. You're going to be that way soon. Wait. Whoever Monica Lewinsky was, well, she's changed now, physically and mentally. Most of the Pentagon loved. She was all over the Pentagon before she was all into him. to be known by our understanding from some different reporters and stuff, she was a carrier of the good white stuff to the people at the Pentagon, and that way. She was a carrier. Not of sex, but of something better than sex. You know, better than sex. The great white horse. You know why Rudolph and Clinton have things in common, don't you? They both have big, red, shiny noses. And they both lead teams. And they both bring gifts down your chimney if you're not up. Lost it, didn't it? You haven't heard the report that your president is a drug eat? You haven't heard that, huh? I don't know why not. In all the papers, I got about 5 clippings over there about his big red nose. And people who do drugs don't do too much sex successfully. So you know that was a great big ploy. And you bought it. But during that time, you have had 483 different companies to go out of business and merge. You've had the stock go up and down when Greenspan said it wasn't going to move. Now, when somebody is bigger than the Federal Reserve, and as Greenspan says, we're going to think about raising interest rates, and the stock market collapses, if you understand anything about the market and Wall Street and LaSalle Street, then you know there's some force bigger than Greenspan. And when Greenspan speaks, just like when J.F. Hutton spoke, everybody trembles. He's the new god in town, didn't you know that? They can't control their own markets. Who does? Who benefits? Changing gun laws. In my city, at Chicago, Illinois, may it rest in peace, you better not shoot at somebody in your house shooting at you, and if you hit them, you got 10 years. If they shoot you, they will get a trial and they'll dispense justice.
Even for self-defense.
No self-defense.
Maybe you didn't hear what I just said.
Clearly.
In Commerce Secretary's brother's city, if you pull a gun and shoot somebody in your house, you get automatically 10 years. If they die, 10 years is the minimum. If they shoot you, they get prosecuted. Because of Columbine, because of all these things, these terrorists that in the cities and stuff in the United States, and the packet nukes, satchel nukes, briefcase nukes, and all the terrorist laws that while you were watching what happened to Clinton, Congress passed. They passed those. You've got so many laws now that make the Constitution of the United States of America a joke. One thing that those founding fathers that killed my father said, don't let it happen to our fathers. For our father may be in heaven, but our other fathers are in Europe and they're over here and we don't want them killed. What am I simply saying? When they broke away and formed their 13 colonies, they formed a beautiful thing that what happened to them over there, because the scum of Europe came here. From Newgate Marshalsea prison they came here. From debtors and indentured services they came here. The mercenaries came here. Everything Europe didn't want, including the pilgrims of the Church of England, couldn't stand and said, go away. They set up laws so what happened there would not happen here again. And one of the first things they said was a right to bear arms. Not only was it a constitutional law, it was an amended right. Through executive orders, and while you watched Monica and Clint, they passed laws now that have made the Constitution a big joke. And you better watch what you carry while they carry anything. All political servants can carry guns. Well, you didn't know that. All political elected persons can carry, the old office, you can carry guns. They don't have to worry about it. They got their guns, their pieces, their bodyguards. If one of you has a bodyguard, I know they're waiting outside, right? Armor plated. Who benefits by you giving away your right to bear arms? By you not being able to defend your home? Who benefits? You? Somebody comes into your home, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a grandma, you're a ma, you're a wife, you're a husband, and you're going to let somebody hurt your people, and you got a gun there and you're not going to use it? Forget that. That person is dead or I am dead. There's no question. If they won't talk and listen to reason, when they pull it, they better use it. But when you use it, you get the time. Who benefits? The increasing publicized fear of sun radiation, solar flares, and solar prominences. That's all you're going to be hearing about now, is the new sunshine. Before, it used to be you go up in the back hills and you make your little bootleg shine. And now you look out and you're going to see sunshine. Boloids, solar prominences, solar flares, what do they call it? CMEs? What do they call that thing? See, Central, they got a whole new name for it. That's in the other section over there. Oh, I forgot, they got a word. Anyway, I'll get back to it again. But anyway, they're worried about the sun. They're worrying about prominences coming from the sun. They're saying that the sun is now shooting out solar prominences so fast, and the earth is just being missed. It's like somebody painting a shooting gun. It's a plane going. That this is disrupting the asteroid belt. That there are many asteroids and meteors that may come from fragmentized asteroids that may be heading this way. They've got the Aeneas coming in November. There's another swarm of meteors and stuff coming. And they're talking about possible boloids that they're seeing out there in Alpha Centauri, in a place called Centaur NO or something like this, some of these little galaxies over there. Everything they say is headed this way. And that our sun is reacting, flaring up. They're saying that this summer, all bets are off. Everywhere you look, and if you turn on the radio and TV, you're going to see it in every news report and all, about what our sun is doing. They're saying all of this, as I tell you, and when I say this one, don't you dare leave, don't you walk out on me, don't you even think about it. That the sun is not hot and the sun is not even bright. And they've lied to you about that too. Oh no, I told you don't you leave, now you promised me. You promised. Sun's not hot, sun's not bright, and I'm not a fool. I never said I was psychotic, I said I was what? Neurotic. There's not a psychotic bone in my body. Let me just throw out some examples to you, and I want you to listen to me and think. Think for yourself, not by what some professor or some control apparatus, spin artist is making you say. The sun is hot and bright. We're taught this in school. That's why when the Russian cosmonauts and the American astronauts zoomed up in these great big jets to all the money that they spent from Cape Canaveral and Riga and Siberia and everything else, they got out there and they talked about the darkness of outer space. The darkness of outer space. They talked about the cold, dank darkness of outer space. Cold, frigid. They say in these astronomical journals that the sun is over 280 times larger than our little Earth, with room to spare, and that's for the diameter of the sun. Here's little Earth, here's big sun, you go off and you can't find the sun. They say that Alpha Centauri, Tehuti, Epsilon, and Arcturus, third magnitude giants, are first magnitude wonderful things compared to our third magnitude dwarf sun. They can't find the sun when they get out there. They had a whole series, Lost in Space, because they couldn't get reference, and they followed Alpha Centauri because it was brighter than the sun, and they got lost. Come on, folks. The speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. Newtonian physics and some guy named A, I forget his name now, stated out, and that's what they use, the speed of light, all their physics, from quantum physics to plasma physics. Speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. They say that these solar prominences, these solar flares, can whoosh out from the sun 250,000 miles in a second of time. They say that they can hit the orbital path, and the sun is supposed to be 93 million miles away, and they can get over there. 10 minutes. Stop and think. Think. Stop listening to them and think. Create this beautiful humanitarian people. Think. If the sun is a combustible, whatever it is, burning hydrogen and helium, this is what they say, to create heat. Hydrogen and helium, to me, are elements. They're the first two on the table of elements, hydrogen and helium. It's converting one, burning the other, and then swooshing it out 250,000 miles in a second of time. Then they're saying that light, which travels at 186,000 miles a second, because they told me so, and they know, is being beat in its race by an element which is traveling 250,000 miles in a second. Which means that their physics ain't worth doodly squat. Because if an element can travel faster than light, then they're a big fool, and they think I'm a big fool, because no kind of physics is going to work. How can you spin an element through a cyclotron and speed it up to the speed of light if it's already going faster than light? What are they wasting your money for, and why are you paying them? They're liars, and they don't know, and you have believed them so long you won't think for yourself. You're going to have to wake up this year as to what really is going on. Comets, meteors pass through the corona of the sun and are not burned up. Yet to the sun on its surface is 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit and 35 million degrees inward. Then how can something go against the sun, through the sun, past the corona of the sun, and are not burned up? They speed on toward you, talking about hitting you, coming into your solar system through the sun. They're lying to you. They don't know. You think they know. You give them the power. They don't have it. What they're worried about is the sun is reversing its polarity, has reversed it, finished in 1959, is giving off magnetic energy, magnetic propagations, and is knocking out their electrical apparatus and all their little fun tubes. And they're going crazy. They even created Y2K, which you also are buying, so that when their little things fold down and won't work, they'll say it's because we, gods, made an error. There was only one error made in this system, and they're talking every day. I just wonder how long they're going to be allowed to. Y2K is a big lie, but it's going to happen because they want it to happen. Who benefits?
Rich.
Who benefits? Why are you being told lies? Why are you being shot up literally and figuratively? Why do you have no constitutional rights? But anyway, you already know that through the Dred Scott Amendment you did anyway, right? That's why they have the voting rights bill. You realize that? You're really not citizens if it ever comes down to that and you ever take it to court. You realize that, right? Thank you. Don't forget that. Who benefits? Last of all, worldwide attacks by youth on educational facilities and schools. Did you know that the investigating CIA people who went into Columbine, the chief investigative officer, Edmund Dwyer, whatever his name is, I have it down there again, we can get it, his son, 2 years before, made a homemade movie which they showed at the school showing exactly what happened in Columbine 2 years later. The guys came in with trench coats, they shot up the school, The kids were in an uproar about it, and then the same thing happened 2 years later, and everybody's up in arms. And who was the one sent in to investigate it? The son, the father of the guy who made the movie. Come on, folks. You're going to have to get me here every week or every 2 weeks, and let me give you a report behind the news before you start doing some bad things, all right? You can't believe anything you read in the papers anymore. And at least read it in 3 papers and make sure. 10 o'clock news, the most managed time on the planet. And if you doubt it, try to turn to a commercial on another station once they get your mind. They all show commercials at the same time. They just rotate them. They turn the news backwards, and that's about it. It's all managed. Why? Because they are part of the New World Order, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations. Every owner, every producer, every manager, everybody's in place already to control your minds. Who benefits? The movie Matrix came out. And in Matrix, they introduced the black trench coat. And when he became Superman, the one, you know it, what was his name? What was the Matrix dude's name that led the whole movie? Neo. Transpositions, O-N-E, N-E-O. Neo is new, the one. And at the end, after he got the kiss from the Trinity, he became the one. On the good ship Nebuchadnezzar. Read your Bible. Nebuchadnezzar was a god who wanted what? To understand and control his dreams. Understand and control his dreams. Folks, they're giving you messages, good and bad, but you've been so educated. That's right. You can't think. They gave you a heavy message there, and in the corner of most of those Cinemarks and other things that had those big screens with the digital sounds and digital projection devices, they had pulses in the left-hand side. And when those young encrypted, implanted, biochip individuals saw it, they acted. The black trench coat was the signal, and they donned their trench coats and they wore. All these are youths around the world that are doing these crazy things.
That's right.
I got to read this to you. Didn't bring this far not to. Very interesting. Actor Sharon Stone, who played a gunslinger in The Quick and the Dead Thursday, said she has given up her guns and urged other Americans to do the same thing to make this country safer. Columbine shifted the basis. A triumphant of gun control and advocates of a Republican-controlled Senate was improbable at best until the shootings at the Colorado High School a month ago caused a marked shift in public opinion. A shooting at Atlanta area high school earlier in the day gave fresh impetus to the bill. They have had shootings in, where is this thing? There's so much stuff I can't get it. They had one in Accra, Ghana in April. Didn't hear about that one, did you? No, we missed that one at a high school. 7 guys came in, killed 3 people. They had one in Vilnius, Lithuania. 5 girls committed 3 acts of robbery and beat up their parents. 5 girls, 13 and 16, between those ages. Tabor, Alberta, a 14-year-old high school dropout carrying a gun and a grudge, has managed to spread fear, insecurity, shock, and grief not only through this small Alberta community, but right across the country. The youth fired 4 shots from a .22 caliber rifle. 1 student was killed, 3 others were injured, and he threatened to go and kill his mother and father. I mean, folks, who benefits? Who benefits? Tell you who benefits after we take a break. I'm going to give you a whole layout of who benefits after the break. But I'll say this to you, in case some of you dare leave or just have to go, and I hope you stay with me. I came a long way. I'll be gone tomorrow. You can rest. They're worried about our son, not because of what they're telling you, but because the sun is putting out energy, magnetic frequency. The sun is not hot and bright, it is a huge energy transmitter. It used to be a step-down transformer, stepping down energy from the cosmos. what they call gamma waves and cosmic waves, down to a useful energy level that you could use and it wouldn't burn you up and kill you. From 59 on, it's been letting more of this background energy come in, and it's coming in on what they call a magnetic frequency. Energy patterns that are magnetic. Magnetism is a higher frequency than electricity. If you don't doubt that, or if you doubt that, take a magnet and hold it to the back of your computer. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do that to somebody you don't like. If I don't like somebody, I have a way with me, you know. Magnets and computers, they get along? No. I won't even say that. They don't get along. The magnets are coming, tra-la, tra-la. The electrics are going, ba-ba, ba-ba. They can do nothing about it. They should try to do nothing about it. But they're going to try to do something about it. Thank you very much. Hope it made you think. Please don't go away. By the way, on your break too, I did carry some products, not like I usually do, because at our center you can order the products, we can get them to you in 3 days' time. But I did bring a lot of the tapes with specifics about some of the things you've heard. We've got a tape list, it's got some 90 different tapes on it. I also brought some diodes, which you will see can also help protect you from some of the radiation that's going to be coming in that is electrical. Okay? Thank you again.
How long is the break?
I don't know, you have to tell them how long the break.
Yeah, we're going to take like 20 minutes. And I took the opportunity to go get some water. So we have some water back there at the third table that, you know, just, yeah, and some ice too is in the cooler, so, you know, yeah, oh yeah, necessary, you know, because we was going to be falling out, you know. And please check out the products that the vendors have, you know, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh yeah, before Dr. Blair comes up, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. My complaint was not with the Community Coalition. I was asking everybody to check out their backers, the Black Slate, which is the political arm of the Shrine. You know, because if you're going to have somebody do something, then you should have them do it right. And they knew the forces that were aligned against them. They should have been ready to block the blow, either get out the way or hit back with their own. And they weren't able to do that, you know. So something's wrong somewhere.
Not only that, but I mean,
Speak a little louder, sir.
not only that, but I mean, somebody should have been looking to see Coleman Young and Howdy Doody and the Cisco Kid. They had all kinds of crazy signatures on
Yeah,
them.
oh, see, but just the fact that the signatures were so crazy, they were probably faked by people who were planted inside. But like, you know, we all know about COINTELPRO. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. So you got to be ready for it and weed out them people and, you know, have a reasonable, logical excuse or something. I mean, you know. Hey, as politically sophisticated as the Black Slate is, and they didn't know what to do. It don't add up.
Well, they say they, you know, that they expected to see some kind of signatures like that, but they weren't going to do signatures because of votes. And I think it was overemphasized how many bad signatures there were. They come on the radio, 88.1 every week, 5 to 6.
And so you said they overemphasized the bad signature, you said, right?
The glass is half full. It's not half empty. They got 51,000 legitimate signatures. And they're still there.
So how many did they need in order for the measure to be put to a balance?
57,000. And they found a lot of
Yeah.
Some guy was disqualified because they said he was not a registered voter, but he is a registered voter. He got validation from Jackie Curry, and they had thrown out 20 sheets of signatures.
The battle is not over.
It's not over. That's
no.
good.
It's not over.
That's good, but they sure took a licking this time.
Won't take it.
But they couldn't find the signatures. They asked them.
Gee, some of you came back.
Hey, nobody.
Give you a hand. You came back. I thought possibly I had frightened you away or made you wake up, and unlike the ostrich, you wanted all parts of your body covered. Huh? All right. Let me say this too, because we're going to really go off on our drum roll now. He said at the beginning of the first lecture, I don't like to call it lecture, I like to call it presentation, discussion, interaction, that normally Dr. Blair is way out. This time he's going to show it to be very practical. Not going to be practical now. We're going way out. Okay? Way out. Okay? Practicality left you with the question, who benefits? Now, obviously, on any of those things, you were not the beneficiaries.
That's right.
Right? Let me say a few other things before I get on this roll. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I can take them back to the house, take them over to the center, and possibly sell them with orders. I'd like to sell most of them before I leave. I get tired of those people x-raying them. When I go through those machines, but sometimes it's going to denigrate that. Nobody bought my videotapes, so I guess they must have caught too much or they're not interesting. I don't know. But you hurt my feelings. Well, say, let's have a deal. We'll probably try to see on some tape we make some deals on it. But we'll see what's what. But more than that, I didn't get into my diodes. And diodes are the things that you're going to hear as much about as you do magnets. I hope you're buying magnets from Brother King. You buy some from me. Hope you buy diodes. Diodes will be everybody's new magnet this year, and as we get into past the year 2000. Why? Because diodes protect you from radiation. They protect you from man-made electrical radiation, and that's what electricity is, man-made. They protect you from cell phones. And every time you pull up a cell phone without a diode, you're frying your brain and taking a chance of immunisms and tumors. And definitely your hair will stop growing and turn white. Every time that you pick up a cordless phone, you're doing just about the same thing, plus you're also messing with the thyroid gland and the heart muscle, or pump, or whatever you want to call it. It's a big debate about the heart nowadays. Every time you sit under a hairdryer for an hour, you're going to lose 3/4 of your hair life force. And that not only that, but it fries the neuron centers in the brain and actuates what they call the dendrites. Those are little things, along with the glias, that support the neuron centers that you think with. It cuts down on your spiritualness and stops you from dreaming in color. Every time that you use a microwave piece of food, you ought to hit yourself. What you ought to do is to give microwaves to your worst enemies for presents. Yes. Understand the USDA and the FDA and the Underwriters Laboratory reports on all interlocking devices on that. Every time you break the interlock, there's at least 1/4 of a second bleed out. Doesn't take much for radiation to enter. Most of you have those things in your kitchens, along with your Frigidaires. On the back of those are copper coils with freon gas, which is the best conductor That kind of energy you ever heard of. So what you don't know can't hurt you, but it might put you in your grave. A man by the name of Reginald Lewis at Best Foods, CEO, multimillionaire on Pan-Africanism, true brother. And he was so busy, literally, that he wanted one of the first cell phones to come out, and he never wanted to lose a cell. He didn't want anything putting it down. So they beamed him like mad. At his yearly checkup in January, died of an advanced embolism and a tumor in May. Because he was getting his signals mixed. He just didn't know. What you don't know can't hurt you. Just put you in your grave. You need diodes. I'm going to be selling more and more diodes. I've got people coming from Africa. I've got them coming from Guinea-Bissau. I've got one coming from Botswana land. I've got some people over in Demona who are talking about getting my diodes. We're talking. I'm my attorney talking when I go back from here. Those are diodes. Here's what diodes are, sir. These are diodes. This is what we call a slim pocket diode. I don't have a pocket here now, that's why I have it out. Slips into the pocket. You get one, you put it on your left. You get two, put it on the right. Three, back on your left or right. It protects your field by setting up a concentrated field protective energy 18 inches out from the body if you have two, 12 inches out if you have one. Okay? Different prices, $27.95, $28.95, and $29.95. We're still trying to keep it below 30 bucks. Okay? And unless you use them, you never have to buy another one because our diodes charge up in broad spectrum sunlight. You put them out, after you use them for 10 days a week, put them out in the sunshine about 6 minutes for every hour you're going to use. Put it in for 1 day, use it for about 3 days. It charges up in broad spectrum light. You have to have those op lamps. Some of you may be very sophisticated technologists. Op lamps will do it because it gives you at least 7 spectrums of light. It wants direct sunlight. Put it in like this, charges up. This is an equipment diode. No, this is the, this is the equipment diode. This goes on the back of your TV set, your computer, your your microwave oven, your hair dryer. What else you got? Your VCR, your fixture, so on and so forth again. And it causes that oscillating energy, which is what they call radiation energy, to go down and come at you. Why radiation is so harmful, radiation does not have a specific high and low, a crest and trough, a wave pattern. It vibrates, it shoots, it goes every direction. Your body can adjust to almost anything. You'd be surprised what your body's going to adjust to if it has a pattern and a frequency. But oscillating radiation, it can't do it. And it enters the body and it can't get out. And what it does inside you is a mess. With microwave emissions, by the time you see warts and things inside, you're all messed up. Outside, rather, you're all messed up inside. It gets in there and tears you up. Soft tissue damage. Microwave, this is why it's such a hell, I have to use that word finally, of a war weapon. They're using it because it burns soft tissue inside. By the time you detect it here, you're lost. Everything is melted inside. You're going to find people melting now. They won't even understand. They'll be smelling like sulfur inside. That sulfur we have is organic sulfur. What that's creating is a carbonized sulfur, plus things are burning up inside of it, especially your brain, spinal cord. I mean, it's not a joke what they come up with now. That's what I tell you.
In the sun, if you stand in the sun, isn't it possible to ward off that kind of radiation? I mean, if you say, if you meditate in the sun, direct sunlight, the black people, is it possible to avoid that kind of radiation?
Depends on the kind of radiation and depends on the black person. One thing black people have in common is melanin. One thing that melanin has in common is the pineal gland. Two things that melanin and the pineal gland has, it can send melanin in the form of corpuscles of what to a site on your skin, what they call melanocytes. Wherever you have that melanin in a skin cell, blood cell, muscle cell, whatever cell, it can take radiation. It will deepen in its charcoaling ability. It will get darker, its pigmentation, and send that all around, hopefully, the epidermal tissue so it doesn't get into the soft tissue. So that's why when they say can black people tan, of course black people can tan. You turn charcoal real black before it lets you cook your internal organs. If you cannot tan, you're subject to ultraviolet light and everything else like that. But understand one thing. Direct light from the sun is magnetic in frequency, and even though it wasn't completely before 1959, since 1959, it is highly magnetic. Electrical propagations have alternating currents. They do not keep the same pattern. So, where you, as a black person, or anyone who is dark-skinned, can tan and can get black, can protect yourself from that, it's not a direct protectorate from microwave emissions. You see, one is what they call extra low frequency parent rays. The other is man-made propagations by alternating electricity. Microwave emission, microburst, pulsing and bursting like that. That can do anybody damage. Plus the fact, when it stores in food that you eat, it gets past the epidermal barrier. When it's given in shots, it gets past that. And some of the shots people are taking, and you know it, are radioactive cobalt shots. They're even drinking barium and radium to get photographed. We're so intelligent that we believe what the great white coats say. And we're drinking radioactive things so they can shoot rays to us. So yes, definitely, a black man can stay in the sun. That's why Africa was there. But understand, not just Africa, because black men, well, there's another thing, we go on a big tangent on history. Black men did not just come, and black women did not just come from Africa. They came from all over the planet. That's a lie they try to say. There was no Africa anyway to the 10th Pope, but that's not even going all that. When you take things internally, it will work on your glands and on your organs, bypassing the skin barrier. The skin is an organ. But you bypass the organ protection called the skin by taking drugs and getting shots. And these things weaken the whole immune system. One of the things, I'm a whole different thing now. One of the things that they teach us wrongly is miseducation. Chancellor Wisdom is right, miseducation of Negroid people, is that they teach us that the master gland of the body is the pituitary gland. It is not. Never could be. Why? Because it gets its orders from the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the seat of the soul. Some people on this planet are soulless, as we're about to get into. If you have no soul, then you have no pineal gland, no need for it. It's the Saul man. If you remember the parable in the Bible saying King Solomon, the son of man, the son man, Solomon, wise man, everything on earth he mastered, but knew there was more. And Nebuchadnezzar said again, if I could only live in my state of virtuality of dreams and understand them, I know it's what. Everything there is there, but now we're going to start getting truth out of these books, and truth out of these scholars, and truth out of these organizations that have taught to be ripped of truth. Inside your body have all the glands to work. 12 apostles, 12 glands, 12 whatever you want, again, it's right there. And when they work together, you have a beautiful presentation. But when you begin to disrupt one, others are being disrupted. The pineal gland now is probably the most important gland we have in our bodies, because it can take light from the sun. It can bring it down, just like the king's chamber and the pyramid, the crystal on the top. The crystal is that pineal gland, big pine cone. It works to tell the pituitary gland what kind of ACTH, what other types it should send out. Controls all the body. It helps you to sleep comfortably at night. It produces melanin. They're selling black people melatonin, and some black people have bought it. My people, I cannot understand, but you're here. Now, once you get the melanin working in the pineal gland, it produces what they call peroxidase, which then produces zeronase. Zeronate is a gas. If you know what it does in a gas outside the body. Inside the body, it helps the body to renew. It helps the body to trigger deeper responses and organized responses to any invasion, anything that's out of whack. And it lets all the body take up this character. When it works in the brain, it helps you to be psychic. It helps you to dream in color and remember your dreams. It lets you sleep 3.5 to 4 hours a night, and that's all you need. Spends the rest of the time healing the body, healing the spirit body and the soul, and then you go forth. But every time you've got these unturnable awful TVs, because you can't turn off your TV anymore. You can unplug it, it won't go off if you charge it up. It stays on broadcasting. They have all these glow-in-the-dark watches and glow-in-the-dark radium field stuff. I don't know how to go there. We'd be here forever. But by city municipal laws, each one of your rooms is supposed to have at least 3 outlets, or some say 4 outlets, 1 on each wall. Each one of the outlets is constantly discharging 12 inches out radiation. That's why when you plug it in, things work. It never goes off. In your concrete and steel buildings, in which we love to do business, you have what? Concrete, with pylons of steel set in, and a bed. Sometimes you even use railroad cars to supply water, which means you've got metal at your base. Then they put up the steel girders, and they put the last thing, again, they have the girders going cross beams. Then they put on your roof. Now you got a whole metal encasement with concrete, asphalt. Then you embed in that coaxial cables for computers. They got a computer cooling room. On the top, they got your water supply. They got your parabolic cable up there for your deep dishes and cable. I mean, the whole building is a walking nightmare of electricity, radiating everybody coming in and out. Then they run elevators up in the shaft to connect it down to make sure, and put interlocks on it that you step out of. And then they got generators on there, and I told you I'm the right. Everything I see is madness. But, and I thank you, sir, and I should have gone off the tangent, but you hit a sore spot. That's another lecture I go to. But what we have there, believe me, I wouldn't sell it if I didn't think it would help. I know it helps. I have tested. We can prove kinesiology. You don't even have to get the ball Delbert machine or the fax machine by FDA. Just plain kinesiology, reflex testing. We need diodes. We
I
need.
noticed you have this magnet on your arm.
You notice a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that have additional purposes also?
I hope.
I'm sorry, but what role does that play?
This is a magnetic copper bracelet plated with gold. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets in it. Each one 1,000 Gauss. That's 4,000 Gauss of magnetism on my right arm. This one is a watch. It's a magnetic watch with 1, 2, 3, 4 magnets, 1,000 Gauss. That's 4,000 Gauss on my leader arm or left arm for my circulatory system. I have 8,000 Gauss constantly feeding my body. That's supposed to make me think better, help me to go off and stay younger, help me to stay up and talk to people for 5 and 6 hours and not have to refer to too many notes. It's supposed to help me renew my energies and so on and so forth again. I believe it. What it actually does without all the hype or food. Magnets, again, contact the metal in your body in turn. What happens is that the blood itself flows through, and the red corpuscles, again, have oxygen capability. Okay? There's iron in the red corpuscles. Oxygen follows iron.